Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Navigating Modern Dating. It's the third episode with your host Moffin TC. We're going to be talking about a couple things tonight. But we like to do the lady shows on Mondays and like to do this on Tuesdays because I think we always get some good content and some good discussion points. And if you guys haven't watched the show last night, I think it's one of the better ones that we've ever done. So if you haven't watched that, go back and watch that. I think just from our standpoint, we had a lot of fun. It was a good time doing it. I mean, I think it was, I really summed it up there at the end where like Hala threw me a real softball because she already knew the answer. So to spoil it for you guys, she asked me, is doing these podcasts with all of these women, has it changed my opinion on anything? Has it changed my mind? And she already kind of knew she was the most base out of the panel by far. But I said, no, like it's only made me double down and triple down on everything that I've learned. And I continue every single week to be like vindicated in my thoughts about the way that women work. And it's like, you all say the same thing. It's like, that's why it's so easily predictable to figure which road you're going to go down, what questions you're asking and why you're asking them, because it's just like a repeated framework. It's rinse and repeat. It's every single week. It's kind of the same thing. And I know that there was at least one lady on the panel that was not stoked about me last night. And she definitely didn't like that answer, but she's a sweetheart. If she wants to come back, she'll be more than welcome to. Yeah, and I think that's kind of like the point. It's the more women you interact with and deal with, my sample size is way bigger than any of theirs. They're only dealing with their personal experience, and it's like, this is something, if you guys haven't picked this up already, when women talk or they're trying to negate what you're saying or use examples, it's always I and me. It's never saying like, hey, well, studies show or the research out there. It's like, none of what you just said is true because I had this friend where it was the opposite one time. So therefore your entire argument is bunk. Or, oh, I was the one that got left in a relationship. So, it doesn't apply that all men are being left in a relationship, whatever that might be. So if you guys aren't knowing that by now, you should pay attention to that. But anyway, we've got a couple of things we want to get into tonight. This wasn't going to be the main topic. This is one of the topics that came up last night, but I think it's a good one to start with. And we've got some other things we'll dive into. But we kind of talk about this idea of women seem to be pissed off these days. They seem to be mad at men for this. And we've had this come on. We've had a bunch of women that have said this because we always ask women before the show, like, what's your hot take on dating or what needs to change in dating or what's the problem with modern dating? And it's a common response to hear women say modern men want to be pursued. They want to be chased. They want to be the prize. They want like the princess treatment. And so if you guys think this is going to be a show that's pandering to women, you're sorely mistaken. If that's what you're here for, like you're not going to enjoy the next hour and a half or so. There's plenty of Instagram accounts that are pandering to women, telling you that you're perfect and you're amazing and you don't need to change anything. So we can certainly dive into this, but this was even put more in my head today when I came across this meme on Instagram and I reposted it to my story. And there was a woman asking a question that's like, hey men, like, hey, soft men and quiet men, why do you go for like loud and obnoxious women? Which I think is already a flawed premise within itself. But some guy responded, he's like, because somebody needs to tell the waiter that he got my order wrong and I ordered something else and it's not going to be me. And the fact that men now are so, I couldn't think of the caption I wanted to make this because it's like, how do I come off as not a complete hardo and have everybody like, oh yeah, it's just a joke, man. But there's always truth in jest, right? It starts off with the little stuff, this idea of male weaponized incompetence or men that are almost proud of being incompetent and proud of propping up women to be the leader and to accost waiters that get their orders wrong. And it's like, oh, calm down, Moff. Like, it's all just a big joke. But it's like, this is how we get to where we are. It's little by little. It's inch by inch until now women are being men and vice versa, right? So anyway, like, I thought it would be good to start there because that's something that came up last night where, all of this therapy speak and modern women talking about how they're, men have to, like the idea of toxic masculinity and how that's surfaced. And when we talk about toxic masculinity, it's just the things men have always been doing. But now that we've sort of started to demonize that, you're turning these men into women, and then the women are wondering where all the good men have gone or where all the strong masculine leaders have gone, and guys are pussies these days. So anyway, what's your take on all that, man? Like, kick us off.
Man, there's a lot there. Like the first thing, I can't imagine, dude. Imagine being out to eat, right? And you're like asking your girl, "Oh, what do you think I should get? What looks like, oh my God." Like if she's been looking at the menu for 5 minutes, like if I can tell she's looking at the menu, I'm like, yeah, fuck it, whatever, let her select whatever the fuck she wants. And the waiter comes back and it's been 5 minutes, and like I order, and then she's gonna say what she wants. If she still hasn't decided, she's getting whatever the fuck.
I'm just
You're not coming back in another
this.
5 minutes. Like she's getting the fucking Denver omelet. Send it. I can't imagine. Like the food comes out cold, and you're like, "Oh, honey, do you think you could flag down the what the fuck is going on?"
Well, it's this idea that like
I'm gonna be like, yeah, just fucking eat it. Like it's fine. Jesus
that's the
Christ.
thing. I think that's kind of the point. Like I've dated women that are like that. If they brought me like mashed potatoes instead of French fries for something like that, or if my steak was cooked a little more rare than I wanted, I'm like, yeah, like I ordered medium and it's like, or I ordered medium rare and it's a little more on the rare side. And I'm like, whatever, it's fine. I'd rather just eat the fucking steak than like waste 10 minutes sending it back. Maybe they'll fuck with the food. That doesn't generally happen, but it's like it's like being a pain in the ass. It's like, no, it's fine. I'll just eat the damn thing. And they will swoop in. It's like, no, you need to get what you ordered. And they'll raise their hand and be like, excuse me. He actually needs his steak cooked like more. And it's mortifying. And it's like, there's a difference between being a guy who is not going to make a mountain out of a molehill and cause a bunch of problems because it's not worth our time and energy, and a guy that's like passive who is like, oh, I really wanted like French fries and they give me mashed potatoes instead, and he's like crying into his plate. Because that I would understand, where she's like, okay, well, I'm gonna get the fucking waiter because you won't shut up. But a guy should just be like, yeah, it's fine, shut up, like I'll eat the damn steak, it's fine. But yeah, it's just this idea that it's the erasure of masculinity and masculine culture, because what we're doing right now in the Brotherhood, we're rereading Jack Donovan's Way of Men, and we just got through like the 4 masculine pillars, which are strength, honor, courage, and oh my God, I knew I was going to forget one. Like when I rattled these off: strength, honor, courage. What's the 4th one? He's going to kill me if he ever sees this. Mastery. So, these things that now you could argue are toxically like I got called toxically masculine last night, and I was trying to just figure out what that means or what it is. And it's basically when women will say being dominant or being violent or being big and strong, like they're like, and I was like, what's wrong with that? And they'll always pivot. They'll say, well, there's nothing inherently wrong with being strong and being, it's when you use them to dominate others or to take things from people or use them to your advantage. It's like, well, if we're not using them, then what's the fucking point? What's the point in being strong or honorable or being a master at anything or having any sort of thing, like working for something, if we're not using it, if we're not competing with people? And that's the masculine essence. It's competition. It's endless competition. It's the reason that 60% of all male bloodlines have died off. And so what happens, right? The guys, there's certain guys that are never going to reproduce. So they hear women, they listen to women, they step aside and they say, okay, yeah, this is going to get me in. And then what? They end up not being the actual guy that these women even want to deal with. They're like, yeah, like I'm really in touch with my feminine side, and like, yeah, like women's rights and like trans rights and all this LGBTQ, and like vote for Kamala Harris. And they go, yeah, but not you though. Thank you for stepping aside and letting me take, your place, but you're not the guy that I'm going to go for. So I think if guys knew, and I don't know, maybe, I don't know what you think about this. Do you think this is guys being willfully ignorant and afraid of doing the work? Or do you think these guys are so brainwashed and lost that it's like what they actually think deep down?
I mean, I think we've got both, right? So like men want a leader, They want someone to like follow into battle. They want someone that they can believe in and they can just like go forward following that person's direction. Right? This is like most men. And so when like the leader and the go this direction is do all this stupid gay shit, like a lot of men are going to do it. They're like, "Oh, that's what we're supposed to do. Let's go do it." And then like they've been tricked, right? And this is like what guys red pilling moment is when they realize like, "Oh shit, man, I was tricked. What the fuck?" So yeah, but I mean most guys and to get like this idea, there was a lot there again, but like 40% of men ever have reproduced, and it's like almost all women. It's like 99% ish, 98 99% of women. So what this basically means is that like if we're essentially pairing up men and women, 60% of women are going to be with a guy they would rather die than have sex with. That's what that is, right? When 60% of men didn't reproduce, what that means is women would rather die than fuck this guy. And then even like the 40% that remains, like that's not the 40% that remains is not the guys that women are crazy about. So like the bottom 80%, so let's call it like 30%, the bottom 30% of the top 40% of men, these are like guys that women reluctantly reproduced with. Like they would
last chance, last ditch effort. Like this is the last dude on earth.
It's better than death.
Yeah,
but that's
better than dying
right?
alone.
It's better than dying.
Yeah,
but that's it. And so like you see this nowadays, right? And who knows what it really is like the top 1%, the top 5%, the top 10%. But, and this kind of ties back into the passenger princess thing. Like the top whatever percent of men that women are crazy with, that they're fighting each other for, essentially, they don't care if that guy's a passenger princess. They don't care if that guy is like whining about his food. Like if he does it too much, he's going to no longer be attractive, right? But like they will be doing the most unbelievable stuff to try to get noticed by the king, right? They'll have like a 2-week course with one of the courtesans of the court on how to first greet the king, right? Like this, and the king could be a fucking retard. Like he can be an inbred moron, right? But he's still attractive.
But he's a king.
And so like I think a lot of guys are like I talked about on one of the ladies' nights, like taking naps, right? And I joked about like, yeah, you got to go get a hotel room to take a fucking nap. And like that's kind of true for a lot of guys. But if you're with women that view you as that guy, you can take naps and it doesn't matter. Right. Like I'll take a nap and I'm getting like massaged the whole time. I'm like, get off me. I need to sleep. Leave me alone. But you have to choose the women that view you as that guy, right? Yeah. And so this is what you have. Like I see this all the time, where guys nowadays think like women are cooked because they believe they're in the top 10% of men, but like the way they're measuring it is not like what women find attractive. It's like how men rank each other in a hierarchy of competence. So there's like a kind of fit, like he's not out of shape. He's loaded, but he's like kind of a nerd, like a tech dork, right? And he's not charismatic and he's not captivating. And he'll go on and see like one of these posts from Are We Dating the Same Guy? And it's like a guy who's missing 5 teeth, has face tattoos, and the woman's complaining about how he crashed my car and lives with his mom. So he's like, this guy's getting laid and I'm not. So like clearly women are cooked. But no, like the issue actually is that guy's attractive and he doesn't understand how, because he doesn't get it, right? Like the gangbanger that's homeless, that's got all the face tattoos, like violence is much more attractive than your bank account.
Yeah.
And then pre-selection, getting posted on these groups is more attractive than like your job title.
Yeah, that's huge.
So,
I mean, we've had a number of guys that get posted on stuff like that. But yeah, go ahead, continue the point.
but yeah, so like most guys, like obviously the guys in the bottom 60%, like there's guys in the bottom 60% that do get laid. But as soon as the woman figures out, like the guys in the bottom 60% that are getting laid, they're the ones that are ending up getting like a me too and a false allegation, because like they pretended to be attractive enough to get laid, and then as soon as the chick saw what he's about, she's like, oh, ew, no. Like, and a lot of these guys are like going out and trying to bang drunk girls and all this stupid shit. But that 30% of the top 40%, this is like your guy gets married, 2 kids, house in the suburbs, and then like over time, when he starts slipping, that's when he moves into I would rather die than fuck you. And that's when like he gets fucking railroaded by the woman. Because like he's relinquished control to the legal system and he's not willing to do whatever it takes to not lose his stuff.
Yeah, you see this playing out in real time. And I think the frustrating thing is it's so black and white to me, and it's so logical and 2 + 2. This is what I was going on with these chicks last night, where it's like the necessity or the incessant need to complicate things and talk about just gibberish that doesn't mean anything. But that's beside the point. It's this idea. So like the 30% of the 40%, or we'll talk about basically, let's just take the 60% that didn't reproduce out, because obviously they're gone. So you have basically 75% of those men. Now we've gotten it to 25%. Anyway, we talked about this last night specifically with the idea or the example of like socks on the ground and like laundry and shit and like not putting it in the hamper. And that is such a common gripe and complaint by a lot of women. They call it like the mental load and it's free labor and all this fucking shit. And regardless of how, that's not the point, right? Because then what dumb people do is they want to get in the mud, like we talked about before, and they talk about, well, it's not really that hard. It's peasant work. And she's like, yeah, but it's free labor. You're arguing whether the work is hard or not versus, and you're not focusing on the right part of that equation, that there are women by the literal millions that think this way, and it's simply a result of not being attracted to their fucking husband or not being attracted to their boyfriend or whoever they live with or anyone it is. It's just a simple attraction problem. They just don't love him or see him as that guy. So they are the ones that they are reluctant to be with those guys. And like the next thing you mentioned, and maybe we can talk maybe a little more on this and like more in depth, because like, my stance generally is men should try to be the most complete guy as possible. I don't think guys should just be focusing on getting laid. And I don't think guys should just be focusing on getting into relationships. We talk about, this dualistic mating strategy that women have. I think what most guys do, and especially if guys want to have kids, which most guys still do, and even guys that are red pilled, most guys we've found, whether it's interacting with guys in the community or the academy or whatever, most guys still prefer to be in relationships. Like most guys don't want to perpetually, they don't want to perpetually like spin plates. They want to be in LTRs. They want to do the front porch thing. Like, fine, whatever, man, cool. That being said, it's too many guys, I think, like you mentioned the money thing, like everything you mentioned about that guy in that example, like the computer programmer or the software engineer, he's a complete beta in terms of what he's as a man. And I'm not talking about him being a loser. I'm talking about beta as in the traits that he exhibits are purely for comfort and long-term provisioning, which is not what gets women hot, right? Being a smart guy, a resourceful guy that makes a lot of money, fine. Money is leading with money and giving money is never going to get women attractive. It's never going to be like a hot button, but charisma and the physicality and everything else that you mentioned, being able to be witty and funny and tap into her actual emotions, that like, those are the emotional spikes you look for. Like women's not really, her emotions aren't getting spiked by safety. They're just, you're safe, you're calm. But the emotional spikes is where women have these changes in polarity. And that's where they just go, oh my God. And that's why like the bartender game or like the homeless guy who lives in his car, who's running 3, harems of women out of it. That's why those guys are getting laid. Same time, though, that guy is obviously not a good long-term option. So I don't know. I think sometimes in the space we're talking past each other because these guys are like women only care about money, which is not true. And then you have guys that are like, you don't need to have money, just be super charismatic and learn a bunch of game, which I also think is a miss. So, but there's a lot of stuff that you meant like that really nailed that. I think you really hit the nail on the head when we were talking about like that bottom 75% of the 40%, where it's like, and this is why people argue with us, because it's almost all of them, right? It's almost every single guy out there, obviously, on the balance of probabilities, is in that 75%. So of course that's your contention, and of course that's your reality because you're in that. And then you talk to guys that are in the top 25%, and it's the same way. They're like, I can't imagine her bitching about picking up socks or whatever it might be. Like, oh, okay, I came home a little bit late or whatever the bitching of the day is. Again, it's usually like housework. And those guys just don't have that issue. You know, guys like you, like they don't have that issue.
Well, we all had that issue.
We had it, of course.
We all had it.
Yes, we had it.
That's why we can relate to it.
But there's something that there's a catalyst. Like there's some moment, because some dudes will forever stay in that bottom 75%. Like, and they will continue having no results. And that's why it's so surprising to me because, you know, I make my TikToks and I'm a lot more in your face and a lot more off the cuff on TikTok than I am on here and Instagram. I kind of like pissing people off on TikTok because it's just so easy. But it's very rare to have guys that look like me, act like me, think like me, even show up in my comment section. It's always angry women and it's always like gay, feminine men. And these guys, I see their pictures and they're fat and they got neck beards and they got all the flags in their bio and all the whatever. You guys know who I'm talking about. You can picture him in your head right now. And so I know that dude is not getting attention from women. I know doesn't have a girl. I know he doesn't have any actual opportunities to get laid. And he's the kind of guy you're talking about. These guys that are going to go out and like get chicks drunk and get me too'd, or they're going to be that creepy guy. They're the creepy guy meme, right? You're allowed to say hi to Sharon if you're attractive, but if you're a fat dork, she's going to call HR on you. And so what kind of compels these guys to stay in that mode where they buy into that delusion, even in the face of evidence where it's like, dude, it's not working. It reminds me of this quote from from No Country for Old Men. I'm going to butcher it, but he goes something along the lines of, if the advice you took or the plan you made brought you here, then what good was the advice or what good was the plan? Like what you're doing is not working. So why do you continue to cling on to it so hard?
Yeah, I go back to this. I think maybe it was Tate who said, like, a man's going to make you cry one way or another. Would you rather cry in a Honda Accord or in a Lamborghini?
Right.
So there, like, this kind of applies to men. So, like, a man has two options, right? Like, you're going to die either way. Do you want to die like miserable with some bitch that doesn't even like you? Or do you want to die trying to become a guy that she's going to act right for? So which do you want, right? Because it's just work, right? And it's like, you know, when you look at like the data supports this stuff too. When you look at, you know, there's been multiple studies. Some of it's been on swipe data. And I mean, there's been other studies as well that like men find 80% of women attractive. Yeah. And women find 80% of men unattractive. So that tells you already that 50% of that top 40% who were allowed to reproduce, they didn't even find them attractive. Like they weren't. And I think we're getting squished. And so what I mean by that is like men and women are both becoming less attractive as a whole to the opposite sex. So back in the 1950s, men were much more masculine and a much larger percentage of men were attractive to the average woman. And now like 70% of guys are fat. And like same thing with women. Like women have become much less attractive, as most guys watching this know. But the difference is that like men are wired to seek variety, right? So like like we're wired to spread seed. So it doesn't matter if it's like for a man, like 10 hogs will do, and it doesn't fucking matter.
Any hog will do.
For a woman would rather die than be with a man that's a hog, right? So we're also getting squished. And like what I think for guys, I think that this should be motivating. It's like, what do you have to do now to be in the top 30% of men? You just have to not be fat.
Yeah, really. That's really it.
Like just do less motions like this. Wow. So hard, right? And then like after that, what do you have to do? Oh, well, you need to be charismatic. Well, how do you do that? Like you go out and talk to people until you're not weird anymore. That's it. Like we have guys in the brotherhood that when they joined, and there's guys in the coaching program that we do as well. When they joined, like they're like, I don't know where to start. I don't even know how to say hi to them. And like now they're going out and like pulling multiple women at dance classes to their house. It's just reps. It's like the skinny guy who's in the gym for the first time. You're not bench pressing 500, right? But you're going to slowly get there. You got to start. Like those two things alone do so much. Like I know so many guys, and part of this is because one of the jobs I used to have running physical businesses, I hired a lot of these guys that were like broke, right? They're fucking broke. And they're like, they're like on drugs and they live with their parents, like couch surfing, and like they don't have a car. They had 4 DUIs, right? But they know how to talk to women and they're not fat. And like they'd always have women like showing up at the stores, like, like, oh, is he working? He took my car. And I'm like, oh my God, man, it's fucking great. So like just those two things get you really close to this top 20%. And that's without like that's without like showcasing lifestyle, having money, like having a network. This is like a broke dude can do these two things, can be captivating and fit, right? And then you're in the top 20% of men. It's like, when in human history has the peasant man been able to be like the knight with like a couple years of putting in reps? Never, right? We're just fucked. I'm like in the potato field. Like I'm never getting out of here. So yeah, guy.
Well, I mean, and the thing is too, man.
Man.
And guys still focus so much on the money thing. And it's like, of those 3 things, if you had to rank them in order of difficulty and time to get, it would go physicality, charisma, money. Like it's the easiest to get in shape out of all of those. And I think it's the biggest drastic. It's the biggest, most drastic change in terms of attraction. I've banged on this drum for the last couple of weeks. I've talked about the halo effect a ton. It changes everything. And people will perceive you, or they'll have an idea of you and your personality. People will create an entire backstory of who you are, what you believe, because we see this all the time. I can throw a 30-second freaking TikTok video saying like, women are this, and they're like, wow, you live with your mom. No one loved you growing up. You got broken up with 1 billion times. Like women kick you in the balls when they see you. They'll create this entire narrative based on like, and that's not even, when they can see me, like that's only from like a freaking chest up video. And so it's huge, but it's guys want to focus on the money thing. Oh, I got to make more money. It's like, dude, it takes a long time to double your income, right? It takes a long time. You got to build something, got to build a business. You got to hop to jobs. And even then it's never going to be there through punching the clock 9 to 5, getting your 3.5% raise every single year. But that's besides the point. And then going out and talking to people, like in 6 months, most people could be in 6 months, people could be in drastically great shape and they could be drastically more charismatic and confident. And you could probably do that at the same time. Lift in the morning and go work out, go out at night and talk to people. In 6 months, you could turn your entire thing around. And who knows that along the line, you go out and meet somebody that's going to be able to connect you, or you're going to find a group of guys that you can network with, and all this stuff starts to fall into place. But for whatever reason, this idea of, and I think it boils down to this. I don't know if you agree or not, but maybe this is the reason, maybe it's something else, but I still think that people will hold on to whatever they have, like however shitty it may be. They'd rather hold on to what they have than risk losing it to get something better. even if it's objectively terrible, it's like I live in a shit box, but at least I have a shit box, right? I'm not out on the street in a cardboard box. So it's not, at least I have the shit box. But if I try to get out of the shit box, I might lose the shit box. So I'm just going to keep the shit box and play it safe. I think, you know, I got a shitty body, but if I try to do better, maybe I'll get hurt and it'll get worse. Or maybe people will laugh at me. I think the shame is the big one, I think, or I have so much work to do, it's not worth it to me. I think there's a ton of excuses people make.
Well, yeah, and I think of the 60% of men that weren't able to reproduce for all of human history, I think every single man that was afraid to take risks is in that 60%, right? So like if a guy tells me I'm comfortable, I'm like, great. You shouldn't be having sex anyways then. Duh. Like you're not going to go try to better yourself. Why do you think a woman would want to bang you? Like, hello. So yeah, it's like either go take the risk or stay at home and jerk off. Take your pick.
What do you think about this? Because I don't agree with this. I think there's something to this. I don't think this is exactly bang on. But what do you think about the idea of charisma being genetic?
Oh, total fucking cope.
Go on.
Like so if you're retarded, then it's genetic. Okay. Right? Like you have Down syndrome. Yes, your charisma's genetic. Yeah. Like your low charisma's genetic. Now, the thing is, though, like I've met some people that have like severe mental disabilities, whatever you want to call it, right? Like they're retarded, or they have Down syndrome, and they have more charisma than some fucking dudes, man.
Yeah, because they don't have the shame. They just don't care.
Yeah. And I think like what a lot of people, this idea of like charisma's genetic, like that guy just has it. Like, no, what happened was his upbringing made him naturally come into his charisma. So like you just have to go do it. Like we literally have a guy that's in our coaching program. We're on month 4 of it right now, our group coaching program, who like basically didn't leave the house. No clue how to talk to women, you know, smart guy, very like logical, very analytical type of guy, introverted guy. Yep. This is like how most guys with no charisma are. And we forced him to go out and talk to like rejection therapy, essentially, right? We're like, you must go out and get rejected 3 times a night. And it's been 4 months of the 6-month program. And now he just goes dancing with women. He gets their number. He has multiple relationships going on with multiple women. And like, you can change this rather quickly. It's not going to be fun. That's why most guys don't change it, because it sucks to do so. But this is how I was when I was young. Like I was introverted, I was shy, I was kind of dorky. I'd like open up with people that I was close to, but like talking to strangers, I was like, man, fuck this. And it just took me, like, part of it was making money. Like I was like, I must learn these skills better to make more money. And then the other part was being around guys that were more charismatic than me, and I'd see how they move, and then I'd emulate it, and I'd get the positive reinforcement. So then it would kind of become part of me.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about this all the time. I mean, you guys, people think that just because this is, you know, something that's like a business that I run, or it's a way that I provide like a living and I make a living and I don't have to work a fucking gay ass like 9-to-5 job. That I'm always like, the reason that I talk about Tribe so much is because I'm just selling something. But it's like, dude, it's like, are people that are selling protein powder, are they just snake oil salesmen, or does that product actually work and does it actually help you guys? Yeah, there's a reason, there's a cost to it, because I need to pay bills and I need to put food on my table. But I'm selling something that works and that people that can vouch for. And it's this idea of consciously and subconsciously, you are your environment. You're a product currently, and it's who you're going to be. You're not going to just wake up one day and just change it if you don't change your circle. But I digress. But yeah, I mean, that point of it's just the reps. And I think it's it's so hard, I think, for people to start because starting is the hardest part. Like that's the thing. If you could tell people like, hey, look, like in terms of your getting into shape journey, you've never lifted before, or in terms of getting women and you have no women and you're like our coaching client here and our guy, it's like you're going to hit a wall about 3 months in, but you're going to have made a ton of progress if you do the right things and you're going to be able to blow past that. That sounds a lot more easy to deal with than the first time you try this, it's going to absolutely suck so fucking hard that you're going to want to quit. Like you're going to be so bad at it. You will experience shame and embarrassment like you never have before. Now, understand that 99% of it is completely manufactured and created in your brain that nobody really gives a fuck. But nonetheless, it's going to feel very real. And maybe that's the big thing. It's like it's pushing the boulder, getting it started rolling is the hardest part. Once that thing's moving even a little bit, it's still easy. It's still easier than getting it started completely from scratch. And it's like, man, like what else you guys got to do? Like you got hopefully 76 years on average on this earth. Like you can't take 6 months and get in shape. Like you can't spend a couple nights out having a girl tell you she doesn't like you. Like what else are we doing here? What's the whole point?
Yeah, I mean those guys used to not reproduce, so
there you go.
My response is like I don't want it. It's the same thing with the gym, right? So it's like some guys put on muscle faster. Some guys have bigger frames. Some guys have lower, like some guys because of what their parents fed them.
Yeah,
have lower
that was
testosterone.
Me. That was me, man. I had such a shit diet growing up. Everything was out of a can or the freezer. Like I didn't realize until much later, but yeah, that was a big reason why I think my T was low when I was as young as 30. And there's people out there that are like, man, I don't respect Moff because you got on tier T. I'm like, fuck you, dude. Like first of all, fuck you for that. I don't care. But two, it's like I had low T and I needed to fix my shit. So I fixed the problem. Anyway, go back to what you were saying about, their upbringing and how that affects
so like a guy that's fat because like he was always fat since he was a kid because like his parents allowed him to have a shit diet and not exercise. Like he has two options, right? He can say like it's genetic or he could fix it. And if he's going to say it's genetic, I'm going to be like, okay, that's fine. But if you complain about no women, I'm going to smack the fuck out of you because that's retarded. Just fix it.
Yeah. I mean, I largely think a lot of that stuff, is cope. I think it really is. It's like, yeah, man, well, some people just have it and some people don't. It's like, if that's what you think, you know what? Maybe I'll just start agreeing with those guys. I'm like, yeah, dude. Yeah, guess what? I guess I've got it and you don't. So fuck. Yeah, I guess you just suck.
That's like, what's so fucking funny, right? It's like, it's like I've been the guy with no charisma.
Same.
Right. And so when a guy's like, it's genetic, I want to be like, that's right, buddy. I was born this way. I'm just
it's that easy.
Above all
it's
you
just that easy.
And like,
must be nice. Knows. Yeah. It's nice to just be a natural, I guess. Yeah. Sorry,
everyone knows like this is a fucking joke, right?
Yeah.
Like us acting like this, like it's funny because it's like clearly facetious and a joke.
Yeah. But they believe it. It's just, I don't know. And man, the parenting and the upbringing, that was something I've wrestled with a lot and I still wrestle with. And it's like, man, just going back to it, I don't care. I've talked a little bit about this, but like my parents never exercised. My dad never exercised. I shared a story about this on my solo show a couple of weeks ago where it's like one of my core memories about exercise and working out. So people don't know my dad was a firefighter for many years. And so we were bringing him, I think I was like 7 or 8 years old. I wasn't I was kind of young. And we were bringing them like dinner at the firehouse or something one night. And these guys in the engine bay, they have like weight sets. They've got dumbbells. They got lat pulls. They got like a mini gym because they're there for 24, 48 hours. So they need to get their workout and they want to, stay strong, all that shit. And I'd never seen weights. I was like, oh, is this? Like, she's like, oh yeah, they lift weights and they stay strong, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, do you ever use these? He's like, no, I hate lifting weights. Like lifting weights sucks. And for my entire rest of my childhood and adolescence, all the way into young adult, a lot of people don't know that I didn't seriously start getting into strength training until like 7 or 8 years ago. My mid-20s is when I really started taking the gym seriously. Like I didn't really train hard in high school, never really throughout college. I was just like a skinny fat dude. more emphasis on fat, to be honest. And so, yeah, but I realized I was like, man, I wanted to play football so bad, but I was never the biggest, I was never the strongest or the fastest. And I go back and I'm like, man, like so much of it has to do with upbringing or not lifting weights. So yeah, like these are the kind of values. If you want your kids to succeed long term, or if so much of it is important to teach them the right things, early. And again, and part of that is not marrying a woman or having kids with a woman that's going to pussify your fucking kids, who's going to pussify your sons, who's going to try and that's the problem. Like people have weird beefs with single moms. I don't, I don't, I haven't dated single moms. Like that has never been a real part of my lore, like my story, my background and dating and things like that. I understand the arguments of guys that do it and or guys that say don't do it. I get all that. But my thing is just like, it's not an honorable thing, I think, to try and raise a young son as a woman and completely rob him or isolate him from any sort of positive, virtuous male influence. I think that's a really rotten thing to do. And it's a really shitty thing to do. And it's how I think women are fucking their sons up. And that's the only beef that I have. And that's not all single moms before the internet mob wants to come burn my house down. But there's a lot of women out there, the single moms, that are very vindictive against their child's father and I mean, we had a woman on a couple weeks ago on the ladies panel where she is a single mom in her mid-20s. I'm not gonna say her name, but you guys can find it if you want to go back and watch. But she's a single mom in her mid-20s. She doesn't have her dad, unfortunately passed. Even her older brother, unfortunately passed. And she has no contact whatsoever with her child's father. So it's like, where is that kid supposed to learn masculine leadership? Like, where is he supposed to learn how to be a man and do the right things? It's just, and that's the real tragedy, I think, of all this modern bullshit. It's just the fact that there's a generation of men that are up and coming that are just absolutely screwed, and that it's not their fault, and they're going to have to figure it out. And it's going to be, now you might say it's going to be easier for them to figure it out, because as we continue backsliding, maybe in 20 years, like 90% of dudes will be fat. And then you just got to beat out 9 out of 10 guys. But anyway, I know I'm kind of going on and rambling a bit, but I don't know what you think about all that.
Yeah, I mean, I think like a woman that's a single mom, especially that has a son, or sons, like the number one burning thing on her mind should be, I need to find a man to help me raise this son, and I will do whatever it takes to keep him around. Now, like, that's usually not what's on their mind, because if that was on their mind, most of them wouldn't have been a single mom to begin with.
It's usually the opposite. Yeah.
But like, I have like basically no sympathy, and like the whatever sympathy I may have had at one point in my life for the single moms, other than like, dude is literally nowhere to be found.
Shitbag, wants no part to do it. Yeah.
But like, if they had like a falling out, and if she had just done what he said, no matter how much she didn't like it, he would be around. I have no fucking sympathy for her. Right? Like, she did this by not submitting to the man that she had most likely a whole bunch of instances of unprotected sex with, not on birth control. Duh. So now if a woman was abandoned, right? Like, she's, like, let's say she was raised by a single mom, and so there's no positive masculine influence on her life when she's young, and she's like 18 years old and has a boyfriend, and she gets pregnant, and the dude fucking bounces, and the kid's 6 and she's never heard from him, right? Like, then I'm like, that sucks.
Yeah.
But you should still be looking, your number one goal in life should be, I must find a man and do whatever he says so that he will be the father for this boy that I have. So outside of that,
do you think that, well, I want to come back to it. It's not as important. Do you think that it's the solipsism that women have? Like, it's hard for me to think that female solipsism is so powerful that it even overrides their judgment when it comes to making sure their kids turn into be good people. You know, I would have thought the way that women talk about their sons and their kids and things like that, that, you know, that stuff gets like overwritten where she's like, no, 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 it's not about me anymore. Like, I will deal with the bullshit as unpleasant at it as it is, you know. But when I hear women say they're leaving their kid's father or husband or whatever, oftentimes, if we're not talking about terms of before everybody rushes in and says, "What about this?" And we're not talking about like DV cases where he's just like throwing her in through drywall and shit like that. Like, obviously, that's not something where we're like, "Hey, like endure and stick it
We can
around."
talk about that too, though.
We could, well, Mister Endure, you know, just endure that fucking guy. But you know, this idea that it's just sometimes I think they use it as a justification. It's like, I'm doing the right thing for me and my son. It's like, no, you're doing the right thing for you. And you're like throwing it in there because maybe it's not the right thing ultimately. Or like, how do you know what's the right thing for him? Because in any case, I don't know. I maybe it has to do with like the war brides dynamic where it's like, but you know, like their kids were ripped from them or they had to be, or they were going to die. And does it all come back to self-preservation, I guess is my question, even when it comes to like kids?
I mean, I think a lot of it is like our antinatalist society, right? So it's like all of this influence on these women in society, like basically, so like women think they don't even want kids, right? But like we know, like they just like these women that are like, I never want, like they get a little doggy and treat it like a child, right? Like, no, you do want a child. You've just been convinced that you don't. It's like literally, it's the mind virus. But there's so many different things like that, right? Like they're convinced like you don't need a man. Like women, they're convinced women are as good of leaders as men. Women can do anything men can do. Even like when we were growing up, it was the fucking Nike commercial, right?
Keep going. I'm just putting this on the screen.
So the Nike commercial, like men can do anything, whatever. I can't remember what it's called. Whatever a man can do, a woman can do it better or just as good. And like this messaging, like if it's more powerful on them than the counter messaging of like the sensical messaging from a man, like that's what they're going to believe. So like these women really do believe that they're going to raise their son as good as or better than if dad was there. They're like, oh, well, dad was a piece of shit. So like my son's going to be better off without him around. It's like, well, then why is it that 90% of incarcerated criminals were raised in single mother homes? Why? Right? Like if dad wasn't around, it'll be better. Clearly that's not the case. So like, I mean, we see it on ladies' night, right? Like women will be convinced that like the exception to the rule, that the sky is fucking not blue. Like women can be convinced of, and this goes back to the idea in the beginning of like the top 10% guy, right? Like void of his influence, a woman's going to be influenced on like whatever it is that she needs to adopt to survive in the world, which is like the herd mentality of our culture. And so like literally it's like the emperor's new clothes, right? We convince these women of this shit that's totally fucking nonsense. And the only way they're going to believe something else is if like the guy that's in that top whatever percent they're attracted to makes them believe something else. So like the guys in this top percent, like you can tell a woman anything, nonsense, absolute nonsense, and they'll argue with other people about it.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's one of the reasons why, again, I'm going to be uninterrupted on this because it's just you and me, but I know the women have a problem with this usually. It's like, and I didn't really get an answer to this. I moved on from this, but they're not going to answer me straight on this. When I asked if women are naturally going to mold to the number one value man, if she's going to do whatever her husband or her boyfriend or the leader in her life says and does, and is going to adopt his mannerisms, his likes, his dislikes, his activities, his hobbies, his interests, what good is it to spend any time finding yourself or doing this self-discovery to kind of like figure out who you are? Because it's like, if you have to go figure out who you are, then it means it's by nature, it's fickle. And if you can change, like, oh, I didn't know who I was this guy, and then I was this guy, and then I was this person. It's like, well, if that's always subject to change, then what is the point? Why don't you just go find the most attractive man or, guy that you like the most, you see as the best dude, and just let that guy guide you and just be a vessel for him and support that guy? Like, isn't that what women ultimately want? They want to be the passenger princess. They want to be a guy that's like, do that, do this, don't do this, don't be fucking stupid, don't do that. It's so much easier to follow directions than it is to go through all of this other shit. So you have to manufacture a personality that guys don't even want, that guys don't even like. Spending all this time like empowering yourself or like healing trauma or whatever the fuck we're talking about with like these pageants and stuff that they're doing last night. Just let that dude tell you what to do. What's the big deal? Like, why are we fighting this?
Well, yeah, I mean, this whole like finding yourself thing just drives me fucking crazy, because like what you're saying is correct. But even if we like entertain this idea of let me go find myself, right? What's a woman discovers like, oh, I found that I really like knitting. Right?
Cool.
It's like, so like, are you now looking for a guy that also likes knitting? And they're like, oh no. I'm like, what the fuck are we talking about?
What's the point?
Whatever you find is not what you're looking for in a man anyways. It's the same thing you want anyways.
Well, they're all gonna come back with you though. Like they're just like, no, like, because that's a bad example. It's gonna be like, I'm knowing what I'm learning what I'm worth, or learning why I do what I do and how I pick people and this kind of thing. And all it does is try and convince them that they're not going to just revert back to their biological imperative, which is picking like the most attractive man possible. It's like avoid these traits and avoid these things and don't date toxic men and like heal your thing and look for the nice guy. And then it's like Chad comes along and they're like, yeah, I want a piece of that.
Well, so, and this kind of gets into the whole idea with women and not submitting to the father of their children because they don't like him that much or he's a dickhead or whatever. Like, we already know that women would rather die than have sex with 60% of men. So like dying is worse than your child suffering, right? So like they're definitely going to be okay with their child suffering to not have to bang the 60% of men that they're not interested in. So it all kind of ties into that. And it's like, the idea, and like, I don't believe that much in like women hitting the wall and like that's going to hold them accountable. Like it doesn't.
It doesn't.
Because they hit the wall and like now they've realized the guys I want will most likely never want me. So guys like, oh, now she's going to have to date that. No, she'd rather die.
She'll go be single. And that's what they say. They're honest. She's like, I'll just get a dog and be like, we had a girl on last week who was like, I'll just be the aunt who travels. Like, I'll just be the single aunt who travels and has like the little yippy dog in my purse. And that's what they think of you guys. You guys that won't take yourself seriously, you guys that won't get into any good shape, that won't try to build anything of significance, that refuse to get a mission and a purpose. And that's what the whole MGTOW thing is. It's like, you can't fire me because I quit. That's all MGTOW is. You can't fire me because I quit. Those guys are not choosing to do anything. Like, they're being sent there, but it's only in their mind. Like, no, you're actually fired, pal. Like, it's going to go on the paperwork that you were fired. Now we're not going to give you whatever. So that's what these guys are up against. And it's like, okay, man, yes, man, maybe you guys are onto something when you guys are like, modern women don't like, or like hate men now. Like they just hate you, motherfucker. They hate your fat ass who refuses to be charismatic or do anything that women are attracted to whatsoever. And you think that women should just fall at your feet. Yeah, man, they hate you. They don't hate me. They hate you. I don't know. What's the difference between me and you? In any case. Yeah,
well, this is like how I've come to the realization that I now have about, like, I think polygyny is like the prescriptive way forward, is the only way we're going to unfuck this mess. Because like we have more women that are willing to submit to a top percent of men, then we have men that can give them exclusivity, right? So like if we can, if and this is how I think we got here was polygyny. And we can see from genetics that polygyny has been the norm. Like 2.4 women have reproduced for every man that's reproduced. So like that means a lot of things. Like there were men that only had one woman, but then there were men that had 10, and there were men that had 2, and there were men that had 5. Then the men that had 700 or 10,000, right? And so a lot of people point to like, look how well monogamy worked. Look at the societies we built with monogamy. But the entire time until very recently that we had this monogamy, we also had an unbelievable number of young men dying as virgins in war. So it's like as soon as the West no longer had this like culling the herd of virgin men that wouldn't have reproduced anyways, now we have problems, right? So like now we finally realized monogamy in its full extent. And I think like there's no what's going to happen is, and we're on track for it, is we're on track for 50% of Western women, like American women, will be childless at age 40. And this basically means they're never having kids.
Yeah, it's pretty much a conclusion.
And of the ones that are having children, they're having like 1.8. So we're like 4 times below replacement. So what this means is we need to import a fuckload of people that aren't going to have 2 or 3 kids, but they're going to have like 8. This is the only way to get the birth rate in the right direction. If we don't do it, society collapses. If we do it, then like the whole next generation, like 80% of the next generation will be the children of women and families that prioritize being mothers, and like this whole feminism thing gets erased. And like personally, I like a culture where women have some choice, not like endless stupid choices with no accountability, but like I like a culture where like my woman can wear a nice sundress and go to the store and like doesn't have to wear like the eyes like this, right?
Yeah.
But we're going to get that because like the cultures that we will have to import.
True.
And I'm getting fucking political now, but
I know where you were going with this. As soon as you said import, I knew where you were going with this.
But like, and women don't realize like this isn't going to negatively affect me. This is going to negatively affect women, and more so like my daughters and future generations, where if 80% of the population and the voting base is from a country where women aren't allowed to get educations,
totally,
we're going to have women are barred from education. That's it. So like, this is what feminism brings. This is like, and I think, there's some people, when you look at Rome, like Rome adopted enforced monogamy. It wasn't right at the beginning. So I think like this is fighting our nature, right? Like this idea of enforced monogamy, polygyny bad, allowing women to follow their biological imperatives is bad. This is like, I think the start of the end for like every civilization. And well, I mean, there's lots of ways for it to end, right? But this is like one of the ways that it can end. And it's basically like you're telling women, you want to have children? Well, too bad. You can't have them with the guy you really want because that's wrong. You have to have them with a dork or not at all. And women are like, actually, I'm going to go get a law degree. Fuck all this.
I'm going to be a doctor. Yeah. The doctors, the pageant doctors. Oh, man. Yeah. I mean, dude, I've never heard that whole thing fleshed out, but you pretty much know, because my take has always been like, dude, what do I care about the fucking replacement, like the birth rate? I was even going to say this last night. I just didn't get a chance to put this in. Like when I've thought about this idea of, I don't really care about saving the West. I care about saving my people, my direct people around me, my tribe and all that kind of thing. But at the same time, like to your point, well, if society freaking collapses, then you're not going to be able to take care of your people, and you're just going to be outnumbered and outmanned and outgunned because there's force in numbers and sheer force. I can't take on like 5 dudes, even if they are, little soy boys that can't bench press, 100 pounds or whatever it is. I can't take on 5 guys. Like, they'll figure out a way, or 6 or 7 or whatever it takes. So yeah, I've never really heard you put it that way, but it makes a ton of sense, because I've always thought the opposite. I've always been like, I don't care. Like, fixing the birth rate, like, who gives a shit? But it has legitimate implications on like the future of our children's children's, like our bloodline, essentially.
Well, yeah, and that's, I used to be one of the biggest, like, watch it fucking burn, man. Just,
Yeah.
I'm gonna sit here and eat my popcorn, and I'm gonna win, and I don't care. And like, whatever happens, happens. Like, I know I'm gonna win, so I'm just gonna watch the carnage. But then I realized, right, like, once I had this shift, that I'm like, man, actually I want children. And like, for guys watching, and I've done 2 calls on this in the Brotherhood and the Academy about, like, do I want kids? My realization came from going out and doing some really incredible things, and like, not like degenerate hedonistic partying stuff, but going like and having some epic wilderness adventures and building like a real brotherhood with some guys that are like actually brothers, right? And not like drinking buddies, right?
Yeah.
This made me realize that life is incredible, and like, I owe my ancestors had a hard life to allow me to experience these amazing things. So if I believe these things are amazing and worth experiencing, I need to carry the torch, right? Like, for me to say I don't want kids, because like, it's basically saying I wish I didn't exist. I would be cool with not having existed. Life is so bad, it'd be better if I wasn't here, right? And so, like, that's when I was like, well, I guess I got to have kids. Like, I have a duty to my ancestors, who they could have been like, this sucks, I don't want to have to take care of kids. And then I wouldn't get to have these amazing experiences, like this beauty of existence that I get to deal with, that I get to, be in. So once you like realize you have a duty to have children, then I started seeing like, man, we're gonna be in some deep fucking shit soon at this rate, actually. Because before I was like, who cares? It doesn't matter. Yeah. I was like the guy that was like, in the dating analogy, right? Like, I was spinning plates looking for nothing serious, right? And now it's like I'm looking for women to have children with, and I'm like, man, it's rough out here, dude. Like, it is not easy to find a woman that is like worthy of having a family with, that can be led. And that's like what's happening in society too, is like, we're just in such shit shape. And like, one of 2 things will happen. Like, it'll all come crumbling down, or the men today will fix things as best they can, right? And what that looks like is men having a shitload of children.
But it has to be the guys that are already, it's like, so it's not going to get fixed by mobilizing the bottom, 75%. It's like the kids have to come from like, to your point, we have to just continue what we've always been doing, where it's like, yeah, some of you guys, like, we're reverting back to, some of you guys are not going to reproduce. You guys are just going to die off. You're not going to have kids because you can't, because the only way for the society to move forward is going to be men having children with multiple women. Otherwise, we just, like, the whole thing crumbles. That's the eventual thing that gets us where we're going.
And like, how we, and this is also ties into how I think monogamy gets us to this point. Like, monogamy makes men extremely weak, right? Like, when a man's tied to one woman, and he's going to be like societally shamed or ousted for saying fuck you to her, and finding a woman that's going to act better, and instead having a new family with her. Like, when a man can't do that, he just has to cave to the bullshit. Otherwise, the legal system destroys his life, right? So what is this going to do, right? This means like a woman is going to decide what's the best place for the children to go to school. So like, the retarded school system that's teaching all this bullshit, the woman's like, like, the man's like, we have to homeschool our kids. And like, he's stuck in this monogamy shit where he can't tell her no. So what's he going to do?
He's got no recourse, right? He's got
So
no leverage whatsoever.
Then the kids, like when they grow up, the women are going to be masculine and the men are going to be feminine. It's because like dad couldn't be the father that he was supposed to be, like this role model for his daughters of like what a man's role is, and his role model for his sons of like this is how you be a fucking man. But yeah, that kind of, it's like, yeah, it's like the top 10, 20, whatever percent of men that are able to lead, guide, protect, and provide for multiple women and large families, like must all do so, or we're fucked. So one of two things is going to happen, I think. I think either we're going to see like a revival in polygyny, or the West is going to fall. I think there's no other option. It's like,
what do you think?
How
Kind
do
of
you
timeline
even
we're
lead?
on? How many generations?
Well, it'll be interesting to see like what happens within our lifetime, because it seems like we keep getting closer and closer to like a major what would you even call
correction
it?
Or
like alternative, right?
Yeah.
So
deviation.
we basically, yeah, we've been seeing like more of the same for a very long time. It just kind of ping pongs back and forth. And there's different people on the internet that have talked about this idea of an alternative to what's been going on. So yeah, I think if we saw something like that, it might be a catalyst for a lot more social change. But I mean, women are already sharing men.
Yeah.
So like
what would be an example of an alternative though? You talking about like separate, like city states, like politically, like people seceding from, the United States. I mean, where are we going? Like world war, like civil war? Like how significant are we talking?
Well, like for example, like a total societal overhaul where like we bring back asylums, and we have like,
it's a great start.
Like,
we should do that anyway.
Like we bring back like this is totally in right field for most people. Like the idea of someone that can't function productively in society belongs either in jail or in a mental institution, right? Like either they have an issue we're going to try to fix, or they've shown us they can't fix the issue, so they belong in a jail. So yeah, I mean,
that's a good start.
Too far down the rabbit hole of this on what this would look like on YouTube.
Yeah, we gotta be, but that's really interesting. Well, it's like, I know we had some other stuff to talk about, but it seems so weird to pivot to like, all right, let's talk about using Instagram to like get girls. Like so it's like, I mean, because I saw this, like Nolan, I freaking love Nolan, and we're talking about the collapsing of society. He's like, hey man, what do you guys think about opening a car door for a girl? I'm like, dude, who fucking cares? I would say, all right, if you want my serious answer, I thought about this in my head while I was listening. Like, it's pretty gay. Like, why? Well, it's only gay because of this. It's only gay because she's gonna think it's gay. Like, it's such an old-fashioned thing that nobody does it anymore. And you might think, oh, well, then that'll set me apart. Like, it'll make you weird, because guess who's not opening the door for her when they pick her up from the club at 2 a.m. to go bang, right? The guy's not opening the door for her. So don't do anything that portrays you as doing something that guy wouldn't do.
Yeah, and it's like, women like to use these goofy examples, and like I understand where they're coming from, right? Like they have these fantasies of like this perfect man, right? But they don't understand that men also have fantasies of this perfect woman, and the perfect woman lives with her father, is feminine, and is a virgin. So like, you want the fantasy, you have to fulfill our fantasy. If it's not, like, I'm not giving you the male fantasy when you're not, or the fantasy for you, your fantasy for a man, if you're not giving me what my fantasy is in a woman, right? So it's like, it's an unequal exchange of value, right? So it's like, this is why women like will go get dicked down by the guy that like the guy that texts her, come pick me up, and then like she drives him and buys him McDonald's, right? And then another guy comes along and is like, picks her up and then like opens the door. She's dry. She's like, what's wrong with this guy? And it's because like she knows because of the shit she did, she is not worthy of this treatment.
Yeah. Yeah. This is they think you're a dumbass when you pedestalize them and you treat them like a princess because of that. Because most of those women don't deserve that kind of treatment. They haven't earned that kind of treatment. And we're talking about, I think, probably early dating stages here, like Nolan, and maybe like first date. I'm just saying, and there's some people in the chat, they're like, "Oh, my husband opens my door and he drives." It's like, if I'm going to be married, I'm not opening a woman's door for 30 years. Are you kidding? Every time we go somewhere, I have to open the door for you. Like, no, we're not doing that. But again, I'm assuming
I do some of this stuff.
Okay.
So the stuff that like I say don't do this with most women, especially like with women that haven't earned it, but there's a difference because like a woman that's with me has accepted she is one of multiple women.
Yeah.
So she's given me way more than she's given any other guy. So I'm like, yeah, I'll open the fucking car door for you. Like, I'll be a gentleman because like you have proven to me that I'm your best option. Like she's earned it, right? So now maybe she earns it because like she is whatever you want to call it, like a old-fashioned woman, right? Like she lives with her father, she's a virgin, like, but like not a lot of these women exist. So they've gone and done a bunch of fuck shit. So they need to do even more fuck shit for you. And then it's like, yeah, I'll open the door for you after that. Like,
yeah, everything's earned.
Friend,
everything's earned.
Tell her to come over, and from that day on, make it once a month, and I'll open the fucking door for you, no problem. Because now I'm not a clown, right?
It really is baffling how little it is societally accepted for men to do anything, draw any sort of boundaries, do anything in terms of like telling a woman no or making any sort of criticism or feedback. Like last night was a great example. We used we were talking about like women getting fat as an example. I'm like, yeah, most women are fat, like 70%. Or I was giving the example of like, oh, would you tell your woman friend that she's fat or whatever? And, this woman had a problem. She goes, you shouldn't be talking about women's bodies. It's very toxic or very misogynistic. I was like, well, what about it? Is it, if I said it nicer, like if I was really nicer about it, would it be okay? And she said, no. I said, okay, so I'm not allowed to critique a woman's body at all, ever. I'm not allowed to say anything other than it's amazing. She's a 10 and there's nothing wrong with her. And she's a perfect, snowflake. And that's basically the contention of modern society, like anything. And if you read any of the comments we've gotten, if you read any, for the most part, that's where the criticism comes from. They don't even the logic, there's no rebuttal, there's no argument, there's no counterpoint. It's you hate women, you're an incel, you're a misogynist. How dare you say anything bad about them? You get no pussy, your mom didn't love you. And that's how you know you're correct. That's how you know you're right. Because if you were wrong, you could easily be proven wrong. People would be like, yeah, what do you mean? Like, this has been debunked 1,000 times, dude. Like, are you really banging on this drum? Like, here's a thing that is, but that's all they can't. And that's all they have. So, and it's insane that that's where we are, but that's how you get to these situations where it's like men can't stand up for themselves and they're so deterred from doing so that they have to have a ton of fucking balls to have that sort of spine when it comes to women. They have to have a ton of balls to say, I'm going to do what's best for me and risk societal shaming and ostracization and being shunned. And that's a lot for guys to undertake. That's huge, right? It goes against pretty much everything. It's like we basically have to tell guys to be Sigma, which goes against their complete nature. But it's not really Sigma. It's you are just going to go along this path by yourself for a while, and you're going to find other guys that did the same thing. But yeah, it's like rite of passage, which we don't have in society. And I think a lot of guys are kind of afraid to take that leap.
Yeah, it'll be interesting as the show progresses and because I'm kind of figuring out like what my I'm like on the precipice of starting my family like with children, right? It won't be long. and figuring out this kind of stuff, like for my sons, for my daughters. I've gotten actually asked by women that I've been having like, so when I vet new women pretty early on, I go down this polygyny rabbit hole. And like I have other levers that I pull on to see if it's worth even like going down it or not. But a question I get asked from women a lot is, would you let your daughters be in a marriage like that? Right. So like this is something I have to figure out. And I've come to some interesting conclusions because my initial reaction is like, I don't know. Right. But when you start thinking about it, and like I think this is how things used to be. If a man wants to take my daughter, right, and he's going to now protect and provide for her instead of me, her father, if he already has 2 wives with children, and like I go over to their house and the women are happy, they're excited about this, the idea of a 3rd wife being added, the children are well behaved, like the man, it treats them well, like this is a better place for me to leave my daughter forever than some unvetted guy, right? Like some guy, I don't know if he's going to do the work, right? I don't know if he's full of shit or not. I don't know if he's just young and horny, right? So it'll be really interesting 10, 20 years from now how this show is going to progress, right?
Yeah, because a lot of this stuff, man, again, all of this finger wagging about like age gaps, for example, it's all brought on by women. Like women are really the only people that we know the only 2 groups of people that have a problem with larger age gaps, let's say like 10 years plus, are the women that can't get the guys that are going after the young girls and the guys that want those younger girls that can't get them because those girls are with the older guys. Like those are the only people that have a problem with it. Nobody that's actually in the relationship ever has a problem with it. And so, yeah, again, it's this idea of men are allowing their daughters and they're setting up their daughters for failure because they won't go with the logical choice or the choice that makes the most sense or that she's statistically most likely going to be, like, to your point, like taken care of. And this guy's got status and provisioning and provide and take care, checks off all of the boxes that literally will ensure she's taken care of best as possible and will have a healthy, happy home for the most, like with as good as probabilities we can have, versus a guy that's her age, early 20s, that's got like smokes weed, plays video games all day, or got a drinking problem, or lives with roommates and buddies and hasn't accomplished anything yet. It's a complete gamble because that guy could be a complete shitbag. You don't know what he's going to be, but a guy 30s, 40s, if you've had a pretty good run and you're successful into your early 30s plus, the likelihood of you kind of crashing down and not of continuing that trajectory of success is pretty low, versus a straight up coin toss. If somebody, it's like a younger guy that's really done nothing, has garnered nothing, has accumulated nothing, it's a coin flip, and you're betting your daughter's future on that, all because some fucking hags on Twitter are yelling at you about age gap relationships.
Yeah, I don't know. I think, there's a lot of data that would seem to oppose the idea of age gap relationships. And I think it's all just proximity noise. So it's like, you go look at like the like data of like what women rate the age range they're most attracted to. Like I think a lot of it's like most of the guys around them are their
It's like within
age
3 years or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like, oh, well, the average age gap in a marriage is only 2.2 years. Like that's normal. It's like, well, it's just because like people, that's what's societally acceptable for one.
And it's who you're around. It's who you go to school with. It's like that's your peer group.
Your age.
Yeah, it's a product of proximity.
It used to not be like this, right? Like this is a relatively new phenomenon.
Right.
Like, yeah, sure, women marrying men their age back in the day was like them eloping. Right? It was like, oh, she's eloped with this guy that has nothing going on, right? And it's like a totally new thing. And this is like, we know like the sexiest man of the year in all the women's magazines. He's almost always got some salt and pepper going on.
Yeah, he's like
Right.
late 30s, early 40s.
Yeah, so this is like it's like the man is, if he takes good care of himself, he will be able to still like be the disciplinarian physically if needed of his sons. And like the older he can be, like the more established, the more knowledgeable, the more resources he's been able to acquire, the more skills, the older he can be, while like not getting his ass beat by his 15-year-old son. Like I think that's where it starts, is like, like
The day you can kick your dad's ass. Yeah.
This is the ceiling, right? Like dad is 75
Yeah.
when the son is 15. It's not the greatest. So like
Right.
whatever this, like this is the range. Or like as soon as you start approaching, we're like, and it's got to be your youngest son, right? So like back in the day, you have 8 kids. If the last one comes out when you're 60, like you might be kind of in shit shape by the
Seasoned.
time like your oldest son needs to get his ass handed to him because he's being a dick.
Right.
So I
Yeah.
think that's like women like older men because of all these things, but he can't be like grandpa yet, right?
Yeah.
He's still got to be violent or able to be violent. And like he still needs to have a runway on his violence.
Nailed it. Dude, I mean, this has been a lot of fun. I think it's probably good to wrap on that. I mean, we're almost an hour and a half in. I didn't see any call-ins, which is cool. Like, we hope you guys start calling in if you have questions and things like that. Whatever it might be, whether it's stuff like this or whether it's just questions you might have, like about opening car doors and stuff like that. I know there's some stuff we didn't get into tonight that we'll make it a point. I liked talking about this. I didn't know we would use the entire hour and a half, but I think there's just a lot to unpack. And then, as you guys know, when we continue doing these shows, we're always going to try to sprinkle in some actionable advice and not just talk about theory and the way the world is. We're about that action. So that's always something that we've talked about. We've been part of places that just want to yap and complain about bullshit going on and don't want to do anything to change it. So that's kind of the antithesis of what we're all about, what our community is about, what the tribe is about, everything like that. So, I did not get a short form video done today. I'm going to try to hammer that out tomorrow. I'm actually going to be hosting Jack Napier tomorrow, I believe at 11:30 a.m. Guy that's, kind of still in the red pill space. When I was in touch with him a couple years ago when I first started watching this stuff. And that's back when I was watching a lot more content, a lot more creators. I was watching guys like Rolo and all the guys you all know. And so he dropped into one of the ladies panel comment section. He's like, "Holy shit, is this Moff?" And it was like 4 years ago since I spoke to the guy. And I was like, "Yeah, so we're going to do a show and just kind of catch up. We don't have anything in particular to talk about, but we're going to just catch up on stuff." And it's always good to reconnect with people in the space. So, man, anything you can think of to close with before we wrap here?
Yeah. Call to action. If you watch the show, if you watch Ladies Night, if you think I'm full of shit, I've lost my mind, please call in. And it's not like because I want to try to railroad
the practice
something. No, like I legitimately
needs the practice.
Like I need as many people pointing my face at blind spots as possible. Like this is what I've learned in the last 3 or 4 years is until you go through the exercise, and like this is why the brotherhood is so valuable to me also, is like I can be like, "Hey guys, this happened. What do you think about this? This is what I did. Do you think I'm crazy?" And like getting that feedback is like what helps guys get better, right?
Yeah.
So like you need to get defeated in battle over and over and over and over again to become the war hero, right?
Yeah.
Or you just
absolutely
get lucky,
true,
which is gay.
Facts.
A lot of women.
I mean,
that's
again, man. That's a true brotherhood right there. Like that's what so few guys have, and it's like, man, you might have drinking buddies, you might have sports buddies, but do you have guys they're going to look at you? Because I do. Like I get into spats with these guys sometimes, and I'm like, I can't believe these motherfuckers talk to me like that. And then I got to take a step back, and I'm like, okay, he was right. Right? There's stuff that we've been talking about recently that not to get into it, but Spencer was like, "Hey, I think we should do this." I'm like, "Man, what does fucking motherfucker know? Like, go get some more ladies for the panel." But he's right. And then like you came in and you chimed in and you're like, "Yeah, I actually agree with him. I think you're wasting your time doing XYZ and you need to pivot to what actually is going to make you, money and is going to grow what we want to grow. And I've started to come around. I'm like, damn, like I've never had that until very recently. And I think that's what a lot of people are missing. Even in especially leaders, I run the brotherhood. I consider myself the leader of it, even though I'm not a guru or I'm not like anybody that I don't expect people to follow me or bow down to me. I'm like team captain, as I kind of always player coach, whatever you want to call it. Player coach is probably more accurate, but it's just this idea that I know a lot of people in leadership positions that just want to have their ass kissed, and that's not. And the best leaders are the ones that are like, tell me what I'm missing. Like, show me what I'm not realizing. I'm not so smart, and that I don't think there's stuff I can learn from people or things. And because again, if you don't change, and if you don't listen to people that can see things that you don't see, you'll never grow. So it's such an important part of what we do. It's like the most important part. If I didn't have guys in the brotherhood, especially like the close guys, the generals, like making the decisions on the direction of the business would be extremely, extremely difficult. I'd be doing it all on my own. So anyway, trusted team of advisors is the way to go. If you guys are interested in learning more about that, it's going to be a great year. We're going to have a ton of content. My editor just sent over, maybe that's the video I'll drop tomorrow. My editor just sent over the final full-length vlog of the Tampa MMA event that I took the guys through in December, where we did 3 days of fight camp. We did a bunch of conditioning. We had 12 guys. We ate meals together. We broke bread. We're going to be doing that again in a little over a month again. So, and I've still got some spots for it. So if you guys are interested in that sort of thing, get joined up or apply, book a call. We'll see if we can get you sorted. We'll get you on the right path. But yeah, this has been good, man. And we got a lot more good stuff coming for you guys soon. Cool. Well, with that, guys, we'll go ahead and wrap. Be on the lookout if you guys want to tune into the stream tomorrow. I got to set the timing and then be on the lookout for that vlog dropping as well. Appreciate all the likes, the support, and we'll see you guys on the next one.